Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine, issue number 5, inside cover dated late October 1988. The cover is by John Buscema, inked by Klaus Janson. It is a really intriguing cover. It's not the usual kind of thing that you would see on the cover of a superhero comic. We've got Roach's Inquisitor up here on top of this cart, and he is whipping Wolverine there, who's pulling the cart as if he's a beast of burden, and even the guy's whip is electrified at its tip, its metal tip. So Wolverine having a tough time there on that particular cover. What on earth is going on? From what point of the story inside has this image come, is what a reader would be wondering looking at this. So let's open this one up to the inside cover credits, and we'll see the credits for the Wolverine chapter. So the overarching story is Save the Tiger, and the creative team: writer Chris Claremont, penciler John Buscema, inker Klaus Janson, letterer Tom Orzechowski, and colorist Glynis Oliver. So over here we have a little blurb for this particular chapter, The Rescue, part 5 of 10. It takes a lot to kill Wolverine, whose mutant healing factor is proof against any wound, but he's been through a lot and more. Tonight his luck and power may just have run out. So at the end of the previous installment, we saw him tumbling down a cliffside into the ocean. So this is how things open here with this particular splash page. So we have the cover scenario here as Wolverine is walking in a desert in the burning sun, the heat of the sun. Really like the way that Janson has suggested there, the heat shimmer coming from the burning sun, Wolverine sweating and carrying that huge I don't know the name of this thing here. If there's anybody with agricultural experience, maybe they'll know the name of it. Whatever it is you put on top of an ox or a horse when they're drawing a cart. In any case, if we look at Wolverine's first person monologue, what does he say to begin with? I'm dying. So there you go. That's a hell of a dramatic opening and a hell of a dramatic splash page. And we're going to see what I said regarding the previous chapter. Claremont doing some stuff with Wolverine that he would return to in Uncanny X-Men 251 and 252. So let's see here. So we get a nice establishing shot now of Wolverine walking across a sandy desert, absolutely deserted. Hades ain't as hot as this desert, he says in his first person monologue, nor as desolate. Nothing lives here, nothing can live, and each step I take brings me one step closer to proving that true. I should just quit, lie down, and let it happen. But I'm a fighter. And then somehow Sapphire Styx is there, and she's able to overhear his thoughts. Oh, really? She asks. I'd have thought it's because you're simply too stupid to know when you're beaten. So she kisses him again, which is her thing, pulling up his mask. Really nicely drawn art there by Buscema, keeping things interesting. Nice top-down angle here. And then in order to convey Wolverine's mental state, he's moving the angles around as Wolverine is reeling from Sapphire Styx's kiss. And then in his first-person monologue, he recognizes her. Sapphire Styx must be a mutant like me. She's a vampire with the power to suck the strength out of whoever she touches. So she's a kind of a demonic succubus type. And since my power is a healing factor capable of countering any wound or poison or disease, I'm like a bottomless tank of supercharged high energy juice. Fills her like nobody else is able to. But it also enables me to break loose of her. Trouble is, I'm so weak I can't stay standing. I need time for my power to restore my body. Time's a luxury I don't possess. So then we see all of his tormentors from the previous chapter. The beard is Roach, boss bad guy. The mask belongs to Razor Fist, Roach's new enforcer. The smile to Roach's pet Inquisitor. We haven't got a name for this guy. All four of them put me here. All four are going to pay, says Wolverine. So let's turn the page and see what happens. Will he make good on that boast? Yes. So he bursts free of whatever the name of that thing is that's over his shoulders. I let myself go crazy. This once I welcome it. An all-encompassing psychic berserker rage that nothing can stand against. At least that's the idea. It's a really great shot of Wolverine there. He's almost horizontal, racing towards Roach. Razor Fist is getting ready to attack him. The Inquisitor there, whipping that whip towards him, catches him, lassos him by the ankles. This is the vaunted warrior, says the Inquisitor, the man who boasts he's the best there is. And Roach there, just nonchalantly smoking his cigarette. That is his reputation. They're laughing at me, says Wolverine. I'll make him scream instead. But why didn't he pop his claws? In any case, he doesn't. But it isn't their blood that's spilled, because Razor Fist puts that blade right through Wolverine's belly and out his back. You're out of your league, little man, says Roach. You were beaten from the start with less of a chance against me than an ice cube has of extinguishing the sun. That's a really strange analogy he uses there, but in any case, suddenly it's nighttime. So we know something weird is up with all of this. I do not know why you chose to involve yourself in my affairs, says Roach, as he stands over Wolverine's body, and I confess I don't much care. You were a minor annoyance that's now being dealt with, and once and for all. So the implication is he kicks him over the edge of the cliff, down into the inky black waters below. Salt water, murder on my open wounds. Don't know if this is real or another hallucination, like the desert, or maybe I'm home in bed and this is nothing but a bad dream. The moon faces in it, he says. My foster daughter, Akiko. It's interesting that he should be thinking of her, that he feels that emotional bond and responsibility, Jiri obligation towards Akiko. It's Mariko who's looking after her and her guardian, Mariko Yashida, the woman I love. So he's there, hoarsely saying, Miko, end of the road, darling, wish I could see you though, hold you, kiss you one last time. Interesting too, that Buscema and Janson are blacking out Wolverine's left eye, and there was the implication in the previous chapter that it was injured because Roach stubbed out his cigarette on Wolverine's eye. So let's see where this takes us. Interesting too, before moving on, the different colour palette that Glynis Oliver is using for the yellows and oranges and reds of the desert to the cool blues and purples and greens of the night scene. Yeah, it's really, really well put together. Turn the page. Shore's not so far away, says Wolverine. Might as well be on the moon. Nothing works, no matter how hard I try. Body's made of stone, sinks like one too. And now we get a strange occurrence. When I go under, I know it's for the last time. But who's this woman leaping from the speedboat into the inky dark of the water? Let me be in time, she thinks, and must act quickly because the scent of his blood attracts any predators. And there's sharks swimming out there in Madripoor Bay. I watched Roach's villa all day, she thinks to herself, trying to find a way to rescue the stranger. And then she exclaims aloud, Blessed Buddha, what a weight. And then she thinks, the fates cast good Joss, he escaped on his own, or so I thought, until I saw him challenged by Razor Fist. So this is a recap of what happened, but from Jessan Hoan's perspective in the previous issue. Their fight was a slaughter. The stranger never had a chance. Careful, I mustn't capsize the boat, hauling him aboard. Like, there's no need for that thinking, those thought bubbles there from Claremont, but he's always got that kind of interest in the procedure, interest in how do we do this? What would someone be thinking in that situation? What are the practicalities of it? In this case, what are the practicalities of a slender woman hauling a man like Wolverine with an adamantium laced skeleton into, I thought it was a speedboat, but into a rowing boat? And so, yeah, she's concerned about capsizing the boat as she does it. So there he is in the boat now, and she continues her thoughts. He fell into the river, was swept over the waterfall, off the cliff, and into Madripoor harbour. His surviving that alone is a miracle. And then she sees It's implied, God, his wounds, have I risked my life only to rescue a corpse? Because it was implied in the visuals of the previous issue that Razor Fist cut Wolverine's throat. So the wound must still be visible, though we can't really see it in these visuals. Buscema isn't showing it. I mean, this is a Comics Code approved issue of a Marvel comic, so we're not going to see that level of gore and injury. And then Wolverine's first person monologue starts up again. I'm still breathing. Takes an effort, been a long time since I was this close to the edge. And then he hallucinates as he's coming to. Mariko, how'd you find me, darling? Even as I look, I realise the scent's wrong. Not Mariko, it's Jessan Hoan. Will wonders never cease? And then time switches to a day later, and Wolverine is healing. And Jessan thinks best to keep him out here on the floating village in the harbour and care for him myself. She thinks to herself, for sure, there's too much risk of him being discovered. And then she hears a crash inside the boat. Someone below decks. It can't be the stranger. He's more dead than alive. But it is him. And he's lashing out defensively. We get that classic Linus Oliver trope of a red background to convey a moment of violence. You ain't taking me again, Roach. So Wolverine, in his injured state, she's bandaged him. He's hallucinating. He's confused. She implores him, listen to me, I'm a friend. Lies won't save you, bub. And then she sees the claws. Because Wolverine resisted popping his claws when he was under the ordeal of torture by Roach's Inquisitor in order to protect the secret that the X-Men had not really died in Dallas. Those are blades sticking out of them, Jessan sees. And then Wolverine goes unconscious. He falls unconscious because of the severity of his injuries. And Buscema gives us an open border panel there as well. So now we're getting to the last page. And this is really interesting. A montage, a visual montage of Jessan over more than a week taking care of Logan, nursing him back to health. And even sleeping on the bed with him to keep him warm, keep an eye on him, toweling off, giving him a bed bath. It's implied here. What's going on here? It looks like, oh yeah, she's doing the bandages, feeding him soup. Yeah, that's really well done by Buscema. You never really see an artist these days do this kind of a montage, you know? And I think Buscema, you know, one of his big influences, of course, would be the cinema. And he's getting the idea of the montage from the cinema, but transmediating it to the comics form and doing a really great job there. Yeah, this really stands out to me. All the little details, all the little moments of Jessan taking care of Wolverine. And like the odd detail, this has got to be in Claremont's script that he's given Buscema, the fact that she's lying there beside him on the bed. Days pass. Jessan never leaves my side as fever takes tight hold of me. For the longest time, I'm helpless as a baby. I might have pulled through on my own, but I wouldn't bet those odds. And this is all because in this era, ever since the encounter with Lady Deathstrike and Reese, Macon and Cole in the classic Wounded Wolf, issue 205 of Uncanny X-Men, drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, Wolverine's healing factor hasn't been 100%. And Claremont's plan was that Wolverine, something to do with the adamantium in the skeleton, that the healing factor was maxed out and that he was dying, and that he would die in the run-up to Uncanny X-Men 300, around issue 280 something. That was his plan. I watched it dawn. I figured I'd never see again, says Wolverine, savouring the sight, sound, smells of the world waking around me. That's great Claremontian prose. Jess looks pretty ragged, poor kid. She's had maybe 10 hours sleep in as many days without a mutant healing power to help her over the crunch. So she's waking up there, and now he's in a position to bring tea and soup to her. Thought that'd do for breakfast. So she's delighted. She leaps out of the bed. You're on your feet, she exclaims. Blessed ancestors, you're better. She hugs him. Thanks to you, Jessan, I owe you no more than I do you for saving my life, she says. And then Wolverine. So that's baffled him. How does she know who he is? Well, I'll tell you one way that she knows who you are, Logan. It's not just the claws that you popped in your befuddled state, injured befuddled state, but also your very distinctive hairdo. Nobody else has that hairdo in the Marvel Universe except for yourself. But in any case, we'll find out what she says in the next installment. Things get bad. Okay, well, good. That's what we're paying for. Just one little other observation. It's this one. Up here, he calls Jessan by her full name, Jessan. Down here, after he has become healed, he's developed a little bond with her, and now he calls her Jess. But that's also Claremontian. Always Claremont will have characters abbreviate the names of other characters in order to convey growing intimacy, friendship, relationship, familiarity. It's a trope of his throughout his works. So there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine number 5. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section. And if you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.